Hello Freedom Seekers, Jeremy Chambers, Independence Acres Homestead. I'm going to start off today's video with the much anticipated hydroponics tower. So the last few weeks have been pretty busy for us. We've had a lot going on, from boiling maple sap so that we can get our syrup production finished out, which has been going pretty good. We have boiled down about 160 to 180 gallons of sap, and it's equal to about 3.5 gallons of syrup. We're able to provide some syrup to another family and hopefully have enough for us to get through the year. But sap season is not completely over. We still have a few more weeks of ideal weather for the sap to flow. So we're hoping to pump those numbers up.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
So I figured it was time for me to show you guys what we've got going on here in the basement. The foundation repair that I was doing back here is just pretty much done. It's I still have some cleaning up to do, but I had to get this hydroponics tower going a couple weeks ago because the plants were beginning to languish the way that we had them, just growing in the rock wool blocks. Let me show you real quick how I got those plants started.
The manufacturer of the hydroponics tower recommends using rock wool as the growing medium for starting seeds here in the tower. And there's a total of 24 pods, so I needed to prepare 24 of these rock wool bricks with seeds in them. The seeds that we chose were Napa cabbage, the bok choy, and some Bib butterhead lettuce. So we went through and put seeds in each one of the bricks. This is a little tedious, and I really hated touching the rock wool because of this aversion that I have to fiberglass insulation, but I was able to get through it. Once we got a couple seeds into each of the rock wool bricks, it was time to cover up the hole here with some vermiculite. Vermiculite is just going to help to maintain the moisture and also just to give a little bit of resistance to the seed as it's growing, just to help make it a little stronger seedling. And that's about it. Once all these things were planted and seeded, it was time just to get them wet and sit them in a warm, dark corner until we saw sprouts. Once we saw sprouts, it was time to start feeding them with some quarter strength of the nutrient solution that will be used in the tower. And we gradually increased that strength until we got to half strength and then 3/4 strength just a few days before these plants went into the tower themselves.
So that was a little over a month ago, and this is where we're at today. I have it. This tower is not one that I would personally have invested in, but it's one that a friend in our homeschool co-op had, and they asked if we wanted it, and so you know what, I figured why not, let's give it a try. So Shelly came home with it in the back of her SUV, we unloaded it, and it sat in the basement for, wow, a few months actually, before we were able to get it going. And it's a tower garden, and these originally came with fluorescent bulbs. We've upgraded them to LED bulbs, just some off-the-shelf shop lights that are 4K, 4000K, and I think they're like 4200 lumens each, so nice and bright. We're getting some really good growth here. What we have on the bottom level is bok choy. In the middle here is some Napa cabbage, which we've never grown before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. It's, you know, everything's an adventure here. And then up at the top, we've got some Bib butterhead lettuce. And out of the three, the bok choy and the lettuce are growing really well. I'm really happy with the progress. But one thing that's not going so well is the Napa cabbage. Now, there's probably a few reasons why. Well, number one, all of these are a cold crop, so they want to be grown in cooler temperatures. And honestly, our basement stays between 68 and 70 degrees. So it's a little warm for the cabbage to be growing, and that's why we actually have one that has completely gone to flower. It has already bolted and gone to flower. But that's okay, we're just gonna let it grow. I'll go ahead and, you know, see if I can get some seeds off of that, and we'll have some seeds to get planted for next season. But I'm hoping that we're going to have some bok choy that we can harvest here in another 2 weeks or so. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get another round of bok choy going so that we can replace the ones that are here. This is our first time growing with hydroponics, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. And honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised. The setup for this was fairly easy. The growing nutrients that it came with, pretty straightforward, half and half, 2 parts, which after doing a little research, it seems like that's a pretty standard thing, a part A and a part B of the nutrients. The one thing I didn't like was the rock wool for starting everything, but you win some, you lose some. So it's got the contained pump inside of the lower reservoir here. And, like I said, it's been working pretty well. The pump comes on, runs for half an hour at a time, half an hour off. The lights are on from 6 in the morning until 8 to 9 at night. I forget exactly when I have that timer to shut off. Anyway, they're getting a good 12 to 14 hours of light all day long. And like I said, we're seeing some pretty good growth. So also on the grow racks over there, we've got our 2 flats of onions. Coming up this week, we've got to get some herbs started and tomatoes and peppers. So we'll be going through that same paper towel germination period for a few days, and then we'll get them into some grow flats. Well, that's about it inside. Let's head outside and I'll show you what's going on. So this area over here has been my outside office for the past, few weeks. And last week, man, we were killing it with sap. The sap was flowing so hard, we had a couple 60-degree days. And man, it was flowing 24 hours a day for that whole week. So it has been a little bit of a struggle to stay on top of it. But Luke's been out here helping me get wood chopped up. And here, you actually check this out. This is his first week chopping wood. So like I said, he was helping me out a little bit, and he did a really good job. Nice. So the only drawback to having my evaporator so close to the garden is that I'm just constantly looking at the garden and wishing that it was time to grow things. But one thing that is encouraging about the garden already this year is that the garlic has already started sprouting up through the hay and straw that we put down over top of it to mulch it. So the garlic is doing well. Looking forward to a good garlic harvest. And yeah, let me take you into the greenhouse and show what we've got going on in there. So along with dreams of summer and growing in the garden, I have been having this strong desire to get started in the greenhouse again. So I spent a little time this last week cleaning up in here. Got the strawberry plants moved out, the tower, and our tray. This tray is going to be making a second tower later on. I'm going to get that into another one of those grow towers. But man, it is just nice and warm in here. So I have been cleaning up the beds, digging out the extra roots. We actually still have some beets hanging on over here on this side. So I'm gonna start watering these again, see if we can get these to come back. And then it's gonna be time to start getting this bed over here planted with some spinach, some leaf lettuce, and some radishes. Now we're gonna be trying something new with the radishes this year. We had a really strange occurrence this last year, last fall. We were over burning stuff in our burn pile, and off to the side we actually found radishes growing in the dirt and the ashes next to the burn pile. And I tell you what, they were the best radishes I have ever eaten. Store-bought, anywhere else that we've grown or had fresh anywhere. They were sweet, they were tender, they were crunchy. They were everything a good radish should be. So I'm actually going to be adding some wood ash from our SERP evaporator into this bed over here in hopes that we'll be able to recreate some of the soil conditions that are over by our burn pile in order to get some good, nice, yummy radishes this year. We had good radishes last year, but they just weren't the same as those white icicle ones that we pulled out from over there. Now, you might be asking, well, why did you have radishes growing by your fire pit? Well, because when we cleaned out the radish area 2 years ago, some had gone and bolted. So we had radish seed pods, and we had eaten a lot of the pods, but we also There was just so many. We saved a lot of radish seeds, but there were also just so many we were burning the rest of the plants. So some of the seeds survived the burning and then survived a whole year in the soil and then grew some beautiful radishes this last fall. So we're really curious to see if this is going to improve the quality of the radishes that we're going to grow in this bed. Well, that wraps it up for today. Time for me to get busy on cleaning out some quail cages and getting some rabbits processed. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you, tagging along. Look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Until next time, God bless.